But I think one of the biggest things that I've realized is that, when we want to help animals, if I want to change things, it's all about people.
Spend the next 20 minutes feeding your brain with Formosa fauna so you can learn all about the animal kingdom and become smarter than all of your friends. Imagine this. You've just arrived in Taiwan and are eager to explore everything the island has to offer. One day while out hiking, you come across a dog tied to a wooden post on a short leash, looking like he's been there for months. You wonder, isn't there anything I can do? And think, there must be someone I can call. The question of who do I call is one of the most common ones I see posted by animal lovers from overseas in Taiwan's online groups. And all too often the replies are discouraging. If you don't speak Mandarin, don't bother. Or worse, it won't make a difference anyway. But how much truth is there to those kind of statements? Today we are sitting down with a co-founder of the exact organization you should call should you find yourself in this position to talk about this. In fact, Connie Chiang is co-founder of this organization, Taiwan's first Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, SPCA. If you've ever felt powerless to help an animal in distress in Taiwan, this episode is for you. Also, stay tuned to hear all about the largest gathering of animal protection organizations in Asia coming up this August as well, the Asia for Animals Conference happening right here in Taiwan. Hello, welcome Connie.
Hi Tristan, hi everyone.
First of all, let's say I submit a report to the SPCA. What will happen next?
So the first thing we do is we look at all the information that is submitted to us. So we have an online reporting system where we ask for photos or videos just to help us, assess the situation more quickly. And once we do that, if we believe the animal is in immediate danger, we usually contact the local animal protection authorities in different cities. And this is because usually they can get there faster. And then if there's no immediate danger, we will send our inspectors to go on site. And what we try to do is we try to speak to the owner, educate them, help them in improving the way they are keeping their animals. However, if they don't cooperate with us, we don't have any public authority. So again, we would then have to contact the local government to help us. We do spend a lot of time revisiting each case just because we know from experience that if you just go once, a lot of people don't keep up the way that we've taught them to. So we have to keep going for visits and then keep speaking to them and keep continuing to educate people.
It really sounds to me like the communication part of it would be a huge factor because a lot of things, if you don't have government authority or you can't really do something if it's not illegal, the only way you can make a change is if they're willing to communicate with you.
Exactly.
So I would imagine that inspectors that you have to do the job, their communication skills are really important.
Yeah, that is something that we try to train our staff on. And, we do like internal training sessions where we role play. Yeah, just to try to improve like our communication skills, and they're out like every single day and they meet, different people from different walks of life. And sometimes you have to change the way like you speak, your tone of voice, like the speed in which you speak. And sometimes we have to speak in like Taiwanese, Taiyu, just to build that rapport with people. It's very strategic.
What about the example I brought up just now? If somebody saw a dog tied to a wooden post on a short leash, for a situation like that, how would the SPCA typically approach it?
Believe it or not, we often get reports like that where people find an animal tied to a tree, outside, like with no shelter, no clean water. That actually is the majority of cases that we receive. We call that improper rearing. In Chinese, it's 不当饲养. Of animals. So first of all, like we assess the situation. For example, if the animal is tied without a shelter, that's illegal actually. If the leash is too short, where the animal cannot lay down properly or even turn around, that is also against the law. So the first thing we will do is, again, if the animal is not in immediate danger, we will set up a time where our inspector will go on site and try to find the owner, which sometimes is not easy to do because, people tie the animal up perhaps not on their own property. It might be on public property, like by the side of the road sometimes, or like in the middle of a field. Yeah. And then when there's no other neighbors around, is sometimes, we have to go to the li zang.
Wow.
Yeah, the village chief, the office, to try to, who lives here? Like, when do they usually come here? And then, so then we will have to go back again during that time and try to see if we can, like, bump into the owner.
That takes a lot of time and patience.
But, when we go, we will leave a letter there for them to call us back. But sometimes they don't. Yeah.
I could also imagine, as an animal lover myself, if I were to be responsible for that job, I would want to just immediately solve the issue. Like, if the dog is abandoned in the middle of a field or on the side of the road, like, I'll just take them with me, How do people working with the SPCA balance that anger towards the owner and the, I think, instinct to just want to help and fix the issue right away with that patience and trying to solve the problem through communication?
I mean, that is a good point. I mean, we do get frustrated. We're all huge animal lovers, and we do get angry. But I tell my staff, what we do, we have to be really careful. We have to abide by the law. If the animal is suspected to have an owner, sometimes you can't just take the animal away, even though we really want to. People can sue us, especially if we step on private property.
Beyond dogs and cats, the SPCA has also helped with sheep, gibbons, Malayan sun bears, and more. I'd like to ask, what doesn't the SPCA help with?
Yeah, we do help all animals. So if the case is reported to us, we will do our best, no matter which animal, which species. However, cases involving like street animals, ones with no guardian or no owner. Legally, there's no animal guardian. So usually we don't take in cases involving street animals.
Oh, because there's nobody who could be responsible.
Exactly. So we try to help to enforce the law. But there are groups that help with rescuing street animals when there is a need and help with the TNR, neutering of street animals. So we will usually pass these reports to the other groups to help.
Just estimating, what % of cases where the SPCA finds there's a genuine problem would you say actually results in change?
Yeah, so the exact number, it's very hard to generate or estimate because really every case is unique in its own way. The people that we meet, the owners' attitudes vary, and also the enforcement standards of government varies from different cities. So a lot of factors actually will affect how successful a case will be. Also, I just want to mention, our current Animal Protection Act, it really only sets the minimal standards of care for animals. So sometimes it's hard to see satisfactory results. Like for a animal protection organization, like our standards are sometimes much higher than just what the law requires, right? For us, when we receive a case, we will not close a case until we've exhausted all our options. Right. And that sometimes takes a lot of time. We have cases where we have been revisiting the animal, for a couple years.
Wow.
Even. Yeah. Because we try to make sure the owner is keeping up, with what we taught them to do. And we have to try to keep reminding them, keep educating them. And you have to utilize different strategies. But usually when we intervene, like I would say most welfare of the animals, it does go up. But sometimes, it may improve by only small increments at a time. It does take a lot of patience.
And revisiting.
Yeah.
And checking. Oh my gosh. Culturally, Taiwan has something called Aima, and it's a concept I haven't really been exposed to where I'm from in the US. Because you've worked really closely with TNR, could you explain it to us? What is this Aima?
In direct translation, it means a mom, I guess, mama, right? A mom with a lot of ai, which is love, right? So it's a term used to describe someone, usually older, usually older, who feeds or rescues street animals. I mean, it can be used to describe like younger people, but usually like someone who feeds or rescues street animals who does TNR, and usually a lot of street animals. So yeah, these individuals, they're very, very, very kind-hearted. And I know a lot of Aima, they wake up super early in the morning, like 4 or 5, just to go out and like feed their community dogs or cats, right? And it takes a lot of like persistence. Like they do it every single day because they're afraid that if they don't, the animals will starve. Mm-hmm. So it takes a lot of effort, and there's a lot of respect for people like that.
Yeah, I didn't know that Aima was used to refer to potentially typically older
like the moms and pops, like
yeah. Also the Aima who I know in Taiwan, wow, I feel like the only reason they have a job is to support the animals.
Oh no, that's right. Yeah, and they spent all their life savings on that. Yeah.
All of their money. Yeah, and the ones who I know, they live in like very basic conditions. They just need a bed, a bathroom. They're good. Yeah. Would you consider yourself an Aima?
That's a good question. I actually don't consider myself as an Aima in the sense of, what I just described them to be. Like, they spend a lot of time, everyday effort, going out and feeding the animals. But what we do at the Taiwan SPCA is quite different. We try to focus on the root of the problem. So we focus our time on, say, education, and we do a lot of lobbying and advocacy.
It sounds like from the article I read, there was a period of time before you started the SPCA that you did more TNR yourself. Would you have considered yourself an Aima at that time?
Maybe other people would describe me as Aima, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really put a term to it. Like, I was just doing what I felt was right. Yeah.
The SPCA will be co-hosting the largest regular gathering of animal protection organizations in Asia, the Asia for Animals Conference, right here in Taiwan. Could you tell us more?
Yes, the AFA conference has been held every 2 years for the past 20 years. And it's the first time that it's being held here in Taipei. A little bit about the Asia for Animals Coalition. The coalition has 27 core members, of whom are animal protection NGOs from all around the world, and the Taiwan SPCA were part of this coalition. So this time they're hosting the conference along with us, and also 2 other Taiwanese local NGOs, the Environment and Animal Society of Taiwan and the Taiwan Human Animal Studies Institute. And the conference it's very important, as it's a really crucial platform for knowledge sharing. We talk about best practices and we develop strategies to try to improve the work that we're doing around the world. So organizations big and small all attend. It's a really good opportunity to meet each other, network, learn from each other, and with the main focus to try to improve our efforts globally.
Is this open to the public to register for?
Yes, it is. And we encourage people of the public to come and sign up, because it's a really, really good opportunity to learn about different animal issues, not just happening here in Taiwan, but around the world. So for this conference, we made it a priority to have the program cover all different issues, not just on companion animals, but we're talking about, wildlife trafficking. We're talking about laboratory animals in entertainment. We're talking about aquatic animals. It's a wide range of different topics. And I think if you're an animal lover, it would be a very, very good conference to attend.
Okay, so not just for the NGOs or large corporations. If you're an individual and you love animals, it's a great place to learn.
Exactly.
Many speakers for the AFA conference are flying in from overseas. Could you highlight one of the guests you're most excited to hear from and what they'll be speaking about?
Yes, I'm excited for Professor Lynn Schneiden. She is a prominent zoologist from Europe, and she conducted research, and it was really pioneering research that revealed fish can feel pain. So her work has been instrumental in paving the way for welfare laws for aquatic animals. And it's the first time that she's coming to Taiwan, and I'm really excited to hear what she has to say. So she is going to be a plenary speaker and also a moderator for our aquatic animals workshop. Registration ends in August, but our regular pricing for tickets ends in the end of July. So we encourage people to grab your tickets ASAP because the price will go up in August.
Zooming out a bit, can we hear about how you went from life in Canada to founding the SPCA with your sister, Annie?
Our family, we immigrated to Vancouver, Canada when I was 6 years old. So I grew up in Vancouver, went to school there, and then right after university, my sister and I, we decided to move back to Taiwan, like right away. We're going back to Taiwan. We both found different jobs, and then we rented an apartment, and then just on our way to work or something, we saw a dog that was tied up to the side of the road. And I think that really affected us. It was the middle of summer. It was scorching hot. How come the dog has no water, no shelter? Who is doing this? We were so angry, right? And then we're like, okay, we're going to leave a note. So we left a note there. Yeah, please give your dog water. But nobody called us back. At night when we were going home, we were like, oh, the dog was still there. So we decided we just took the dog. Oh, like you said, sometimes people just, so that's what we did. I mean, it was by the side of the road. So we just took the dog and thinking, well, we'll just leave a note here. Maybe the owner will call us back. But nobody called us back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we just kept the dog. We started to really notice the stray animal problem in Taiwan. And then we started rescuing more and more animals, like street animals. And then we met Becky Hunt, who's our other co-founder. She's also Canadian. We just started rescuing animals, doing TNR, and then we're like, well, how come Taiwan doesn't have an SPCA? We grew up knowing about the SPCA in Canada, and so we're like, well, maybe we should start an organization. And that's the short story.
The short story, wow. I think a lot of people pass by animals on the side of the road and they have the same feeling, but a lot of them, it's been ingrained into them by their parents that they shouldn't get involved.
Right.
Because you're just going to end up angrier, sadder. Yeah. If you can try to forget it and move on with your day, it'll probably semafan, right? It'll save you trouble in the long run. Yeah. But I'm so glad then hearing that story that you actually stepped in and left the letter and stole the dog.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. What is one of the first lessons you learned once you started along your animal rescue journey in Taiwan?
Yeah, I think many lessons were learned. I'm still learning, 15 years later. But I think one of the biggest things that I've realized that is really important is that, when we want to help animals, a lot of times we're dealing with people. We have to change human behavior. We have to work with government, legislators, to try to change policy and regulations. And we have to work with teachers to try to change the educational system. When I was young, I always wanted to start a sanctuary, and that was just a thought. When I retired, I would do that. And that was because I didn't like to deal with people or I wanted to be around animals. But working in NGO, I've really realized if I want to change things, it's all about people. A lot of time, I'm actually not around animals. Another good one is I've realized that progress, it takes time. I used to be very anxious and stressed, and lose sleep over, certain cases and not always being able to see immediate change. That's very frustrating. But I realized change is a progress, and it does, and it will get better, and society and people can change.
See you next time for Formosa Fauna Fridays here on Radio Taiwan International.